So Jorge Masvidal had a big fight a big fight today against Darren Till. He was the underdog in that fight. It was expected that this fight would mostly be standing up, and that Till would have the edge there. That's obviously not what happened. Here's the clip of the knockout that was posted to Twitter by SportsCenter. But he was able to kind of like switch stances in between and throw a giant overhand. So lands the huge overhand, catches him on his way down, and then catches him one more time on the ground. And Darren Till was down on the ground for quite a while thereafter, and there's even a point where they started to like take an oxygen mask to him. It looked pretty bad, but eventually they were able to get him up, and he got out okay. But he's probably not going to be fighting anytime soon. He's going to need some time to kind of get his wits about him because that's a pretty rough knockout. Not sure why they call that TKO. That's definitely a clear knockout. But either way, huge win for Masvidal. He goes from being a guy who we'd last seen losing to Stephen Wonderboy Thompson and then taking a year off to all of a sudden coming back and beating the number 3 guy in the division. There's some talk about him potentially fighting for a title. I don't think that's really the right move to have right now. He's the number 11 guy. He has one win over Masvidal, or he has one win over Darren Till. He's definitely got to win at least one or two more fights before he's ready for that, especially when you have a guy in Colby Covington who has a much better case for it right now than he does. And not to mention Covington and Masvidal are good friends, so for them to kind of have that issue with each other would not be the smartest. And then also Ben Askren, who I think is probably the biggest loser in this entire weekend, because Askren went to London with the idea that Till was going to win this fight. He's going to call out Till and get that Till fight next. And not only did Till lose, but it looks like Masvidal has heat with someone else, and that someone is Leon Edwards, who who got a win over Gunnar Nelson.
Okay, so let's talk about that opening sequence. Wow. Okay, so
Yeah, this is a pretty funny clip. I think one of the funniest things about it is you can hear Laura Senko in the background just like, oh shit. And she knows she's on a hot mic for ESPN, so probably not the best thing there, but she just couldn't hold it in right there. She's like, oh fuck, this is not good. But obviously Masvidal threw the first punches here. I don't know what Leon Edwards was saying in the background that annoyed him. It was possibly the effect of your win was unimpressive or you looked like shit or something like that. Who knows? But Edwards kind of smart there to try to draw in a fight with Masvidal. He just got a big win against Gunnar Nelson. It's going to be looking for his next opponent. Masvidal won't be a bad guy to fight, especially if they can get it out in England again. And so he kind of figured he'd draw some heat here, but Masvidal wasn't waiting for anything to blow up on social media. He wanted to just handle it right then. So he hears Leon Edwards talking in the background.
Opening sequence.
And he decides he wants to throw hands on the spot.
Wow. Okay, so
Michael Bisping's wow, that's a pretty funny aspect to this as well. But as far as what's next for these guys, Dana White put out a comment just saying like, wow, I cannot believe this would actually happen. We need to make sure security stops this from happening in the future. Do I honestly believe that Dana White is surprised this happened? I mean, not exactly, but he's the president, he's the head of the company. You kind of have to make it seem like this is shocking, this wouldn't normally happen, and you don't accept it. That's just kind of the message you have to put out there, and that's the message he did put out there. So I wouldn't be like, oh my god, look at Dana's fake outrage. I mean, you have to understand that Dana White is the president of the UFC. He's a promoter. A lot of times when he talks, he's talking from those interests, and if you can't separate that from what's the facts, that's just kind of your own issue at that point. So I really don't see an issue with Dana White's response here. As far as Jorge Masvidal, I mean, it's not a great way to go out handling this. Hopefully he doesn't get suspended for a serious amount of time. Hopefully this just sets up a fight between him and Leon. I think there'd be a lot of interest there anyways. Kind of sucks for Ben Askren because now that rematch with Robbie Lawler seems like a much better option than it did just a day ago when the Till fight seemed to make a lot of sense and he was building it up a lot. So we'll see how this affects the division. Hopefully we're still going to see Usman versus Covington. But as far as the rest of the matchups, this seems to have created a fight right here that no one really expected. So for that, I'd say it's pretty interesting.